And welcome to Habs Unfiltered, episode 428. I'm your host, Blain, and I'm joined by my co host, Matt Smith.
Good evening.
So we are back. There was a little bit of a hiatus there as I went on holiday down into sunny Mexico and got myself a little additional crisping.
Yeah, a little bit of
My
color.
Yeah, a little color, and my liver is just very angry right now.
Also a little bit of color.
Yeah, the early starts of cirrhosis on that one.
There you go. There you
Holy jeez.
go.
Uh, but I'm back. I'm rejuvenated. I still got a few more weeks off from work
Yeah,
to burn off my leave. So screw it. Let's do more shows. I'll write some more stuff. And unfortunately, Treg couldn't make this episode, but he's promising he'll be here for the next one, uh, possibly without a shirt.
count
Never
me,
know.
count me in. I mean, what?
Where?
Yeah,
Um. So yeah. We've got a lot to cover this episode. It's our first one back since the Four Nations break. So I just want to acknowledge the fact that uh, the 11th province did an amazing job polishing the trophy for Canada.
they really did.
They did,
Yeah, they get a little full of themselves, but at the
as
end of
they
the
tend
day,
to.
it's our sport.
I'm not saying that they lost because they relied on Matthews to play a defensive style or cover somebody defensively in a matchup role, but his man was wide open in the slot and he scored. So I'm just
That's very
pointing that
true.
out there.
That's very true. And you know what? Not to throw salt on the wound, but before that game, he wasn't really noticeable in the tournament. Like in that game, he put up a couple assists and then he had the miss in the man type thing, but he was pretty invisible for, Captain USA over there.
Okay, USA. And I'd like to send out my heartfelt apologies to Jordan Binnington. Everything I said to my TV while I was watching the tournament down in Mexico, um, I don't want to repeat it. Some of it was in Spanish, I think. I don't know. I was pretty drunk, but you know, he came through when it counted.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'll say the same thing. I question their goaltending. And yes, did he have some areas of his game or times in a game where maybe he let up like a fluke goal? Yes, he did. However, in the overtime game against the Swedes and the overtime game against the Americans, he played. He played every game. He came up big. He ended up winning championship with them. And I think just based on that performance, he's pretty much a lock for the Olympic team.
I think so, and
One of the three
hopefully,
spots.
hopefully, whatever wherever they play, whatever game he has to play that's an elimination game,
Yeah.
it's in Boston because he, he
Right,
doesn't
right.
lose.
Yeah, he goes to a whole new level when he's in Boston, that's for sure.
He really does. All right.
So,
So,
congratulations to Team Canada.
yes, thank you, Team Canada, for giving Canadians all around the world one hell of a show. And I'd like to point out that was just the All-Star game.
Yeah,
Um,
it was. It's gonna be interesting until like they get into the groove of things, because we're not gonna
yeah,
see a World Cup of hockey until 28. They're gonna have the Olympics next year. So that means we're probably gonna get an All-Star game on 27.
we got a break.
All right. And then they're gonna try to be like, hey guys, we're cool. Look at our All-Star game. It's gonna be like, you guys fucking suck. Somebody punch someone in the face.
Where's the Kachucks? Let's have
Yeah,
them fight each
yeah.
other.
You don't want to see me do saucer passes on the fucking on the fountain out in Vegas? No, punch someone in the face.
Uh yeah, that was fun. But anyway, speaking of breaks, the Four Nation tournament is over, the break is done, and the Canadians came back rejuvenated
Absolutely did. Yeah. You know, it's a
as we
good, you know,
record.
you know what, maybe it's a good thing. maybe it's a good thing that they had a little bit of a break and they didn't
I think
have
it is.
anyone other than Montembeault that was there. And even though we didn't play,
Yeah.
he gets a little bit of a break, but he gets the experience around all these fantastic players.
Agreed. Agreed. Um, and as we record, I just want to point out that it's post game after the San Jose game on Thursday night, the 27th of February. Um, so coming off the break, the Canadiens do look rejuvenated. They've now won three straight games. That's something that we haven't been able to say a lot of in the last few
Oh,
years,
no.
but they have. Before we get into tonight's game, leading up to this game, the Canadiens beat Ottawa in convincing fashion. They beat Carolina in convincing fashion, and they basically snuck past San Jose.
Yeah. But Carolina's one or Carolina. San Jose is one of those teams that they either get blown out or they're in it.
Yeah, yeah, and they do have a lot of really good young talent.
Yeah,
You
they
can't
do.
ignore that.
No, and we saw it tonight with some of the breakdowns that they had defensively that ultimately
Yeah,
led to at least well, actually all three goals were really were all
regulation. Yeah,
right. They were all defensive breakdowns, right? And it cost Arbor Jacki the rest of a game,
pretty much.
right? And
Yeah.
so, but you're right. Like it was the young guys that came to play today, and fortunately for the Canadians, they came out on top. But it was one of those games. You gotta look at the three opponents they just played. You would think that this was going to be the easiest game, and ended up being the toughest.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of my point. Like it felt like the first two games, the Canadians showed up and they were on right away.
Yeah,
This game, they were they were sluggish. They looked like they started the game late. When
yeah,
they finally did get their feet moving again, they looked good.
yeah.
There was more turnovers than a bakery, but
Right.
at least they were creating stuff.
Yeah. Well, but again, like we talked about this a little bit off air before we started. Like it was,
Yeah.
especially that second period. Like it was boring. Like it really was. They didn't. I don't think there was a shot at one point for 5 or 6 minutes.
Um, no,
Like
no, it
it
did
was.
not
Like
feel that way.
it was. Like it was. It was. Yeah, it was. Two teams that are lower in the standings playing each other. But I did think that the Canadians could have done more in this game. This didn't have to be an overtime
Yeah.
win. I'm glad they got the win. I'm happy they picked up 2 points. I'm happy that they're 3-0 since the break. I'm happy that Owen Beck finally got his first point.
Yes. I want to
Um,
get into that actually in a little bit here.
right, but at the same time, this is a team that is way down in the standings, and both games they've played this year have come down. One was overtime, and one was in the final minutes when Armia scored the winner when they were in San Jose.
Yeah.
So again, is it because maybe they take this team for granted and they say like, hey, like they're lower in the standings, they're this, they're this, we're gonna walk all over them. It's gonna be an easy game. And again, it ended up being a little bit tougher than I expected.
I think it's more to do with emotion with this team.
Yeah,
They don't see this team very much, so there's
true.
no real emotion in the game. Like the Ottawa Senators game, that's a rivalry game.
Right.
It's essentially a home game for Montreal while they're in Ottawa as well.
Right.
So they're pumped for that.
Yep.
Carolina comes into town. They hate each other as well. There
Yeah.
is some animosity there. So the emotions are there. This is a team that they face twice a year. So these guys have probably played each other, in Gallagher's career like 20 times. Like
Right.
it's just
Right.
so there's not a lot there. So I think the emotion was missing, and I think that was the difference between the first two games and this one.
Yeah. I can see that.
Um,
You also had Slavkovsky come out and say, hey, you gotta play like Brady Chuck.
eh, play like Slav. I mean,
Yeah.
He's only 20,
Yeah.
and I think he's the only teenager to get over 100 hits in a season, and he's
Yeah.
already at 127 or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
And he's since the break, he's getting 4 to 5 shots on net, 4 to
Yep.
5 hits in a game. So he's involved.
Yeah, he was second on time on ice tonight. He played 21:04 tonight.
Yeah, that makes
Th-
sense.
That was only just behind Suzuki, who was at 22:07.
Who got ripped off, by the way. That was not offside on that breakaway.
I agree.
That
I
would have been
agree.
his hat trick right there.
Yeah. But
It's a conspiracy.
he had a monster game though. He did.
He did.
Two goals and assists plus two, three shots. He was 15 and 10 on faceoffs, so 60%, and a hit, three blocks. And yeah, he led the team in time on ice as he usually does.
Yeah, for forwards, yeah. Um, now, so that one there, I think the mistaken call for the offside, sure. Uh, Other than that, Suzuki had a great game.
Absolutely.
I think Struble had himself a solid game again. He
Yeah.
played well defensively. He didn't have a ton of minutes. He only played like 15 minutes.
Yeah, just over 15. Yeah.
But when he was on the ice, you weren't looking at him going, oh my God, look at the break, look at that, look at this,
Right.
all these mistakes. He played simple hockey
He did.
and he played physical to the point where Goudreau had to start a fight with him.
Yeah. It was
And
a clean
somehow,
off a clean hit, which you
yeah,
always end up seeing these days, right? So,
I'm wondering if the NHL understands what instigator rule is.
yeah, maybe not. They wanted to, you know what? I think they wanted to let them play, and for the most part, they did. For the most part, they did.
Yeah.
There was only two
Okay.
minor penalties in the game.
Yeah.
So,
The first one was blatantly obvious, the
yeah,
trip on Hudson. So they had no choice to call that.
yeah,
And the one on Anderson, the hold against Anderson. I mean, he did have his free hand on Anderson's shoulder, but I think Anderson went down pretty easy on that. Probably because I don't know what it is, but he's playing hurt.
he is, and they just keep patching him up and bringing him back out there. But you know what? The guy's playing with a lot of heart. You got to give him that.
He is. He
And
is.
hats off to him. Really, like they have enough injuries as it is. Pizzetta skated in regular jersey today, so he's probably going to be back soon, or at least be an option. Gooley's still out with that laceration.
Yeah.
We probably won't see him for a while, and we're supposed to find out soon what's going on with Kirby Dach.
Yeah. As we record Thursday night, apparently tomorrow, probably around lunchtime Eastern time, they're going to talk to everyone and they're going to have a little press conference and fill everybody in on what's going on. And I'm a little bit concerned that that's going to be um, more long term, something
Me
like
too. Me too.
6 to 8 weeks kind of thing.
Yeah, when they say like, "Hey, we're gonna talk about this tomorrow," it's like, "Oh, what are we gonna brace for?"
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm a little bit concerned about that, but we'll see tomorrow. But anyway, back to the game. Um, it was like I said, we talked about it. It was choppy. It was up and down. The Canadians were basically outplayed possession wise in the second and third periods. It was just the giveaways that by a young San Jose team that kind of let Montreal stay in it.
Right. And a goaltender that for the majority of the game wasn't the best in Grigoriev. And, he did show some flashes at some time, but the damage was kind of already done by then. But,
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's going to blame him for that Caulfield goal to win it. That's for sure.
Well, that is nobody's fault. That was just sheer magic.
Yeah, that was beauty.
Yeah, the goaltending in that game definitely subpar. Um, I don't know. It just had had Montembeau made a couple of more difficult saves, this might be a different game altogether. Not that he played poorly. He just, the saves above expected. Difficult stops. You're hoping a goalie can make one or two extra ones
Right.
here and there.
Right.
He really didn't feel like he did. Like
No.
he battled through it. He got the win.
Yeah.
Kept them in the game. It's
Yeah.
just it was like missing a little something in his game.
Right. I felt like I wanted a little bit more from him, but I get it. But he's played every game since they returned.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe he's just a little bit tired, mentally fatigued or something. Maybe give Dobesh a start or call up Primo and let him have one, like something.
Right.
Got to give him a break somewhere, right?
Right.
And San Jose, you figure the game against San Jose would have been ideal time to give Dobesh a start, um, because of the standings and all that. But they seem to want to throw Dobesh up against the NHL's absolute best every time he gets a start.
Yeah.
Not that he's doing poorly. It's just,
No.
you know, throw the poor dog a bone every now and then. My
Yeah.
God.
But he was playing well
Um,
when he was playing consistently. So
yes,
we'll see what
no
he
concern.
when he gets thrown back in there. We'll see how he looks.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Because their next two games are the first and the third of March against the Sabres.
Okay, that would be a good game to put him in.
Yeah.
The first one.
Yeah. So I can
The
see them
second one, you
playing.
give that to Montebo.
Right.
The back to backs. Um, we'll see what they do. They're probably going to go to Monty for both, but because they're clearly trying to stay, in the mix, and I
Absolutely.
don't think they're far off. I think they're right now, as
No,
of
but
that win, they're what, 4 points out.
I'll have to take a quick little peek here. See if they've actually
Columbus
updated it.
is in that last spot, and they're still
But they just won their
um,
game. They just won their game.
okay.
So right now, the teams ahead of them are Boston, the Ottawa Senators, and the Rangers. Rangers have won two in a row. Ottawa and Boston have both lost five in a row.
Mm.
However, Canadians are still 5 points out because Columbus won again tonight and they're on a three-game win streak.
Yeah, and all the teams in front of them, the ones that you mentioned, New York, Ottawa, and Boston,
Yeah,
they're all at 62 points, and Montreal is at 61.
61. Yeah,
But the Rangers and the Senators have a game in hand on Montreal.
that's correct.
So, it makes it a little bit more difficult. Although, if the Canadians miss and Columbus gets in the playoffs, I'm okay with that. It's a good
Right,
story for Columbus.
right.
But the fact is that they're still in the mix. This is kind of where they wanted to be. They wanted to be pushing for a spot, not necessarily winning it. Like clearly the players wanted to be in it, but
Yeah.
management's looking at this season as a stepping stone, and this is a step forward. So I think they're getting what they wanted out of the season for the
So if
most
you,
part.
my question's going to be right now, if this dock injury ends up being more than what it is, I know, yes, they've been winning some games since they've been winning the games and everything
Wow.
since they've been back, and who knows if they win both games against the Sabres on the first and the third, and all of a sudden you do a 5-0 run coming off of the break, it might make some decisions a little bit tougher. But if you lose Doc and he is out for any length of time, does Evans still go? Do you still move him, knowing that maybe you're not going to be able to re-sign him?
Um, I went into this a little bit uh, with the hockey writers. I mostly with Savard. I feel that Savard's going to end up staying because the value in a trade, he has a much higher value to the team and the
Right.
mentorship aspect, um, than a trade would get. In the case of Evans, even if Doc is out, I still think they trade him if they get that value that
What they're
he had
asking
set
for.
for him. Yeah. So let's say Hughes is asking for a second. Now I'm just spitballing. I'm not saying he is. Do not radio me. But let's say he sets that price and someone calls and says, I'll pay it. I think he's gone.
Yeah. Okay.
Otherwise, he stays. I don't think Hughes is going to sell just to sell, but he is going to sell if he gets what he wants.
Right.
But you're right. That
Yeah.
does leave a problem. And in this game, I think we saw a bit of a solution there, and that's Owen Beck.
Right.
And it's not because he got his first NHL point, which great for him. It was a good play too.
He took well.
But he,
He he was committed. He took a hit.
Oh yeah, he
He
did.
he,
Yes, he
he
did.
took he took a pretty big hit to get that point, so it was well earned.
Yes. And he kept his wits about him. He got the puck to line A, and you know, it's a great play to make. Line A right there in the slot, give it to him, and Line A made the pass, which
Yeah.
is odd, but it
Yes,
worked.
it did.
New Hook buried it.
Yeah.
So that line, that second line, those three players, they actually looked dangerous in a positive way for Montreal
Right.
at several points through that game. Not steadily every shift, but quite often they showed flashes.
Yeah.
And Beck looked like he fit in perfectly. Like he looks like he belongs.
Yeah. He's getting more comfortable with each game that passes.
Yeah. And not that he is going to be the second line center. I think they'll use Newhook more in that role. But I see Beck being uh, a roster replacement
Right.
who's he I would prefer he plays more time in Laval, but I don't know what management's thinking. Like they might be thinking, "Hey, he looks ready. We'll just do this."
Right. Maybe they want to see what they have in him in case they do make that trade. Or they know what's going on with Kirby Doc. Or they have a very good
Clearly,
idea, or they very have a very good idea what's going on with Kirby Doc. So when we saw that call up happen, people were like, "Oh," some people said, who's injured or who's getting traded, right? Most of them were
yeah.
Dvorak to the moon or whatever else. But as of right now, we're not 100% sure. So if they make a trade, who knows at this point? I just I hope. Well, I can't even say I hope. Like Ken Hughes gets what he wants,
Or he doesn't make the move
or he doesn't make the move, right? So I'm
because keeping
confident.
them as own rentals is fine.
Yeah, and then maybe keep the negotiations going if
Yeah,
you're something there.
you never know. And Arpin Basu of the Athletic um, put out an idea that maybe Armia and Evans be traded together in a
I
package to
to
get a
care
better return.
exactly Carolina for Miko Rantanen. Done. Done. Throw in a seventh. We're good to go.
Yeah, because Carolina's, we have to take more salary back, so
Exactly.
Carolina has
Exactly.
to add.
Exactly.
Yeah, clearly.
But you know what? I have a feeling that like if Carolina ends up being the ones that just hold on to this player that clearly just does not want to be in Carolina,
They're in it to win it.
right? And the it's some people were like, "Oh, he's not playing with McKinnon." I'm like, that's not the case. That's not the case.
Well,
McKinnon's a McKinnon's a hell of a hockey player. Don't get me wrong,
yeah,
but Miko Renton on most teams is a top line drive the play player, and
yes.
maybe it's just not working out with the systems or with the players that he's playing with or whatever it is, right? Like I think he's got 3 points in 8 games or something like that so far. So,
Yeah, I'm looking up the game now. I think they're playing right now, and he's actually scored a couple of points in that
oh,
game.
how's he?
I think so. I think he got a goal and assist. Yeah. Uh, let's see.
I played the Sabres. Yeah, the golden assist. Yeah.
There you go. So maybe he just needed some time to get acclimatized because he
Maybe.
seems to be playing better and better. He was kind of invisible against Montreal, but let's be honest, most of the Carolina Hurricanes that night were,
Right.
except for Kotkaniemi. Everybody saw him, but didn't even acknowledge him.
Yeah. Which I'm fine
Yeah, I'm okay with it too. Um, so yeah, but back to the game. A little bit of a topic on that. The rookie scoring race had the two top scorers in this game,
with.
Celebrini and Hudson.
Yeah. Yeah.
Only one of them got a point, however.
Yeah. 40th
That's Lane Hudson.
40th assist of the season.
I mean, is that any good? Like, can he do that in the NHL?
It's a pretty good. He's doing pretty well this season to say the least.
According to Sportsnet stats, I just looked this up. Lane Hudson is the first rookie defenseman to collect 40 assists in fewer than 60 games since Nick Lidstrom in 1991-92.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
Yeah. NHLPR put up some other names as well. So fewest games to 40 assists in a season. So you got Lidstrom there, as you mentioned. But Brian Leetch, 54 games. Chris Chelios, 53 games. So pretty good.
Good company.
Pretty good, yeah.
And I think Brian Leach is still a good place to go with this because while he was in the NCAA, he was being compared to Brian Leach in point production there as well.
Right.
So if he is keeping up with someone like Brian Leach at every level, that's good.
I think we're doing okay.
Yeah. So I think we got an NHL player here.
I think so.
So right now he's tied with Celebrini, his former Boston University teammate, for most points as a rookie, and they're starting to walk away a little bit from Michkov,
Yeah.
probably because Tortorella keeps benching him.
But you know what? He's still putting up points.
He
He's
is.
just he's just not like if you look at the roles that these guys are playing, I would put Dustin Wolf above Mitchkoffer at this point as the third option.
Well, and when you think about impact on a team, yeah, yeah, because Wolf is a key contributor to a Calgary Flames team that is also in the mix for the playoffs.
Right.
Um, just looking at it now, they are 1 point out of the wild card. They're 1 point behind Vancouver. So Wolf's doing his job and
Right.
he's having an impact. So yeah, I, I wouldn't argue against it. I would assume that he won't be. I think it'll be the Michkov, Celebrini, and Hudson in the final three with Celebrini winning it. But I think he deserves some at least an honorary mention here.
Right. Right. If I
And the
look at
fact that
if
Hudson is a defenseman keeping up with them on points is good.
exactly right, and I think that he's going to get some votes just based on that. Like, yes,
Not to mention,
is the forward generally yes? Is it the easier pick to make? Yes, but you look at Lane Hudson and the records that he's broken from the Canadian standpoint,
mm,
and the fact that he's jumped in and he's playing top minutes and he's taken over the first power play, and it'll be tough. It'll be tough to like if I had to pick either player, it'd be a tough decision.
it would be difficult. Like you look at the game tonight, he got an assist. He generated a ton of opportunities. Like it was incredible.
I drew
The
the penalty.
You drew the penalty, and he played 25 minutes.
Yeah,
He's averaging just under 22 and a half minutes a game.
right,
That's top pairing time. So as a rookie, he has worked his way into the top pair, the top power play, generating tons of points. He's the lightning rod for the Canadiens offense. So that's got to be worth
right. An
a
honorable
ton of
mention.
votes. Yeah,
Yeah,
a little bit
but it
more than
should,
that, I think.
but honestly, but it should be some first place votes. That's for sure.
I think so. I think so. I don't think he's going to end up with the Calder just because it's hard for a defenseman to do that when you have someone like Celebrini who's putting up tons of points in way less games in the incredible fashion that he's doing it.
Right.
But being a defenseman and taking over that role at the age that he's at and putting up the points that he is, I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah. Yeah.
So win or lose, uh, NHL player.
Yeah. Canadians got a good one.
They did. Um, it's talking a little bit about Michkov's benching got me thinking about Demidov.
Yes.
So Ska played today. They dressed Demidov, and for some reason, when in a 1-0 loss, they didn't allow their top scoring player to play a single second.
Yes. top scoring player on the entire team, not rookie. He is leading that team in scoring, and he did not even see the ice today. He looked at the ice from the bench
Yeah.
and practiced and, did line rushes and all that kind of stuff as the 13th forward, but he did not see a single shift, which I think is just crazy. And you've got to think there's something else that happened. Maybe they offered him another contract, or they this, or they this, or they that. And he turned it down, and then this was the way. Then this was their way. Obviously, I'm speculating, but then this would be their way of punishing the player.
Or the the fees that the Canadians were paying the team to let him get ice time ran out.
Right? It's
They got to
insane.
bring another bag of money.
Right? But it's just it should a player shouldn't be treated like that. You know what? I can like a one, especially a 1-0 loss, and
Your
that
top
goal was
scorer.
and the goal was scored later in the game. Right? So
So you're
I don't like
benching
that
your
at all.
top scorer
Yeah.
because he said no to a contract
Well,
or something
speculating,
along
of
those
course,
lines.
right? But
Yeah,
whatever happened, like it's
which
just
is stupid.
it's insane. It's insane. Like the guy can't get over to North America fast enough.
No kidding.
Yeah,
And when he does, holy shit, this team's going to be looking a lot more dangerous offensively.
absolutely.
Um, I don't. I'm not expecting much this year for the playoffs, but next year with his addition, there's going to have to be some more moves in the summer. But I see a playoff team.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Um, so we only got a couple minutes left. I just want. Do you have anything else you wanted to bring up?
Alex Ovechkin. He is what
Who?
12 goals away from the record now as we record, and I hope he does it this season. He's been so fun to watch, and I just think it would be you look at the Washington Capitals, and they went from, I think they were 28th in offense last year to first.
Yeah.
They're the best team in the league, and it's not by chance. Like they are playing very good hockey, and you're seeing like a resurgence of that team and what they used to be. Gone are the days of Backstrom and Kuznetsov and Mike Green and all those guys that just, offense, offense, offense. But you're seeing like Connor McMichael, you're seeing Tom Wilson, put pucks in the net, and I could see him push for a spot for Team Canada at the Olympics if you need some physicality on a wing. Um, Pierre-Luc Dubois has had a career resurgence with that team. Jacob Chitrin, since he's been there for a full season, I think he's 17, 18 goals this year. So it's not by mistake that this team is looking good and that Ovechkin is putting the puck in the net. And I felt some good for him the other night. He had his boys in attendance at the game. Every time he got a goal, skated over, fist pump on the glass to his one of his boys, and ended up picking up a hat trick. And again, he's for him to be doing what he's doing at this age, and he broke his leg in the season,
Yeah.
is pretty insane.
Russian machine never breaks.
Absolutely. So,
Oh my
you know
God.
what? I said my hat's off to him. I hope he
Yeah.
breaks that record. I believe they've got 23 games to go, something like that. He's 12, he needs 12. I say he does it. And you know what? Hell, he might even hit 900 this year.
It's possible. He's got 30 goals out of 42 games already this season.
Exactly.
He's on pace for 46.
Yeah.
He is 39 years old.
Yeah.
46 goal pace at 39 years of age. He's only 3 seasons removed for a 50 goal season.
Yeah.
He hasn't scored less than 30 uh, more than what, once or twice in his
Those were probably
entire career?
they were lockout seasons, more than likely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were.
Yeah.
So if he's scoring at this pace, I do agree. I think he's going to break the record this season. 900,
I'd
maybe,
love to
but
see it. I'd
definitely
love to
next
see it.
year.
Yeah, but like to do it this season, to break the record and then hit 900, I just think it would be Like put that shit on a t-shirt. Like that's fantastic. And
Put
it's
that
great. And you know
shit on
what?
a
It's
t-shirt.
but it's great, but it's great for the league as well. And I'm gonna kind of throw a little bit of shade at the Four Nations as well, even though
Yeah.
I think it was more important for Canada to win that because of everything politically that was going on, and
Yes.
more people tuned in because of it. Like, my mom, shout out to Peggy. Uh,
Hi, Peggy.
she was asking me about the game, and I thought it was to, for my dad to know when the game's coming on or that kind of stuff. She wanted to watch it.
Yeah.
And for her to be talking hockey with me afterwards and everything, oh, did you see this? Did you see this? Oh, hey, you see those three fights at the start of the game, to talk to your mom about that kind of stuff. It's kind of fun. But you know what? Again, I will throw a little bit of shade at the NHL because yes, it was Four Nations. Yes, this is exciting. Yes, we got the result that we wanted. We got the Canada US final. Canada come out on top. Thrilling overtime win. Best player in the world scores the winner. Like you can tick the boxes. However, not having players like Leon Draisaitl, Kucherov, Alex Ovechkin, etc., able to play in this tournament, it's a little silly to me. However, this was a one-off. We're getting the World Cup of Hockey back. They're saying it's going to be 8 teams. We can speculate what those 8 teams are going to be. We're going to be able to see those better players, we're going to be able to see those star players. I'll just say that from their respective nations, and we'll kind of move on.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see more of those players. I understand why Russia wasn't included this year because next season they're going to the Olympics and the IIHF has them
Yeah,
blacklisted for
yeah,
now
yeah.
for obvious reasons. So, that part totally understand. The next tournament, maybe 8 teams. You can make a team Europe and throw a bunch of Russians in there. They're not playing for Russia, you know.
Right, right,
So you could bring in those players, and that's going to be in what, like 2-3 years from now. So Ovechkin can definitely play in that.
right. Oh,
He's gonna go from
he's
South to
got
South
1 year. He's got
by
one
that
year
point.
left on his contract after this.
He'll sign another one for
Right,
sure.
right. He's got 1 year left on his contract. So you know what? I don't know what they're gonna do with Russian athletes yet. They haven't really jumped out and said that yet. I don't know if they're gonna do like a athletes from Russia type thing, like they have in other Olympics. But it would be a damn shame to not see Alex Ovechkin at the Olympics.
I agree. It would be nice to see those types of players there.
Yeah, but I get
100%.
I get the political
Yeah,
side of it as well, right? So,
100%.
and you
Uh,
just you got to think more world stage at that point.
and you were talking about the 900 goal club. What about the 1,000 goal club? Do you think he can actually do that if he signs another contract, play until 45?
I could see it 100%.
Yeah.
Put that on a t-shirt.
put, put that shit on a t-shirt. Um, all right. So that pretty much takes us to the end of the show. I want to thank everybody for checking in, uh, sending out all the keeping us in the loop, sending messages to us, you know, keeping the discussions going, trolling Treg a little bit with his Baby Gap t-shirts, the whole 9 yards. So we really do appreciate that. We love the community that's been built here, and we're not the only podcast. We want you to listen to us, but we want you to listen to other people as well, because this little community, this Canadiens community that's been built up, um, is a ton of fun, and it's more fun with more people. So check them all out and bring your ideas to us as well. And remember, if you're talking about it, so are we.